stems from a European perspective that is based upon the philosophical assumptions of the European worldview, which Chanel touched upon when she was just discussing about how Europeans were articulating and forming their own societies, and through colonialism, it makes sense that the system in America reflects that of Great Britain and other European countries. And I think that it's interesting to point out that when I was younger, so I think when we're all younger, we were taught that racism is something that disadvantages people of color, but there's never the other side of the coin. There are rarely conversations about how white people benefit from the oppression of people of color, and that's part of the conversation of racism that's been missing and continues to be missed, in my opinion. By openly acknowledging that we benefit from our whiteness, we are admitting to have taken advantage of the oppressive system of our society, and by accepting the privileges presented to us, we have only perpetuated white supremacy within our country. And I feel that, one, it's weird for me to say that to a room of people, because it's an uncomfortable thing for myself, and I like to believe many white people. It's because we're taught to be an individual, neutral opinions, and to be average and normal. And around the topic of what is normal, that's part of white privilege, because the assumed norm is that of a white heterosexual male. So take a look right here. And in doing so, we fail to take a critical look at the larger system, and instead we get caught in a state of denial about racism. And I've heard so many times, I can't be racist, I have a black friend. And that may be true. That may be true that you have a black friend, but that's led to an argument that racist beliefs and thoughts in our country are not as common as they once were. And that can be true if you're looking at a micro scale. But if you look more at the macro scale of racism in our country, and Chanel also touched upon this, you see that racism dominates the educational system, our judicial system, mass media, and its roots are they're older than our history in this country. So that being stated, I feel that it's fair to postulate, which is a great word for assume, that we, as white people, are inherently racist whether we're conscious of it or not, because we've received privilege based upon our whiteness. And I feel that it's important to just state that this doesn't need to be a point of guilt for white people. And I know that it's not uncommon for a white person to feel guilty about their whiteness and for taking advantage of their privilege, because it is a shitty thing and it's wrong. But I do not believe that any true change in the way our society works will happen with this mentality, because it only tiptoes around the issue, and it's a way of kind of shirking acknowledging what we've done by saying, well, I feel bad about it, and I didn't even know it was going on, so I'm a victim too. And you can't victimize the oppressor in anything, and more specifically when it comes to race and racism. So in regards to race and racism, we have been socialized to believe that we cannot be racist as long as we don't partake in racially controversial acts. And this mentality has bred a belief that Chanel, again, talked about, that America is a post-racial society, which is furthered by applying a colorblind lens to things like the media, our judicial system, our educational system. And I feel that we need to see and understand how we have benefited in the world because of our whiteness in order to successfully dismantle our current system of oppression. The white community needs to come to a consensus and recognize that we our oppression of people of color for centuries. It is more important to bring these conversations to other white people who may not understand this power structure and struggle, so we can move forward with a stronger, more organized movement that will shake our society to its core. A more intersectional view that is not dominated by a white heterosexual male perspective will allow